The consistency that is imperative for Breath of the Wild's physics and chemistry frameworks is also key for its core gameplay. One might say that's what makes gameplay shine in the first place, as, let's face it, Breath of the Wild's mechanics are polished, but not particularly exciting on their own. And there's nothing wrong with that. Breath of the Wild's combat can compete with games where that's the main mechanical focus. There is your basic attack, charge attack, blocking, jumping, and a couple special states after successful parries or perfect dodges. It's enough. Especially when taking into account the animation differentiation between various weapon types. Horse riding, despite the interesting concept of building a relationship with your steed, feels functional at best, mainly due to climbing lots of terrain horses can't reach. So even 100 hours might not be enough to make riding comfortable in this paradigm. Climbing is climbing, just hold the direction and that's it. The engagement instead comes from the strategic choices that depend on Link's stamina. But not every game needs excessively deep core systems. Breath of the Wild prefers to ensure that players have a consistent way to interact with the game's world. So a simple climbing system where Link just moves across the surface with a certain speed and stamina drain depending on the cliff angle, with the possibility to jump for farther distances at the expense of more stamina, fits Breath of the Wild far better than some elaborate hand-holding climbing mechanic would have had, even if it were technically more engaging moment to moment. Breath of the Wild from the get-go sets up a principle of once you press a button, something related to its core action will happen. So when we press Y, it's an attack. When we hold it, it's a charge attack. When we hold it even longer, we can activate Urbosa's Fury special ability should we have it. Other special abilities are also integrated into related controls. The Rook's protection is active only when we're raising our shield up with ZL, while Revali's Gale being an updraft is an extension of the jump button. Again, we have to hold it for activation. Only Mipha's Grace doesn't have any button assigned to it, since it's just about reviving Link upon death. Breath of the Wild also wants to make sure that even when Link is in different states, the buttons would still make sensible actions. So when we press Y while in the air, it's a jump attack. And while A is the core interaction button, it is recontextualized into shield parry when we hold our shield up, since we still have to use something. And what would make sense to use when blocking? The shield. Now, you can pick up objects with A even while jumping and gliding. This means that A has to do something even when holding up a shield in the air. And it does! Just like the jump attack sends Link flying down with his weapon, pressing A while blocking will send Link flying down with his shield to start surfing on it. So while riding on the shield is fun and it can be a useful traversal tool, the mechanic exists for the most part to preserve consistency of interactions and make sure that Link can perform appropriate actions from any possible state. Shield surfing might seem auxiliary on the surface, but systemic and input consistency is really the reason why it's in the game, while something like petting dogs is not as cool as it would have been. Petting would have to be a very specific, unique, contextual action, which of course can fit plenty of games, but this type of specific interaction is not what Breath of the Wild is going for. So, yeah, we can interact with dogs only through systemic ways by giving them food, utilizing the mechanics of holding inventory items and dropping them. And those are multi-purpose systems that we can use for many other reasons, from trying to set up a campfire to throwing everything we've got into a cooking pot, which in turn activates another systemically consistent layer of every possible food or elixir item having a core property based on main ingredients and potency based on additional ones. It will be fair to note that petting could have been achieved through dialogue interaction, but that still raises the questions of consistency. If we would be able to talk with dogs, why wouldn't that be the case for all other animals in the game? And those animals behave consistently relative to other rules the game has. Cuckoos are small, so they can be picked up like any other small object, while bears and deer are large, so you can mount them like horses. Even Lionels are mountable for the sake of consistency, though obviously they are untamable. And that's the kind of exception Breath of the Wild is fine with having. Not something that changes the rule, but a logical property that adds variety and still fits within the system. We can mine ore with absolutely any weapon, but iron sledgehammers are created specifically for mining, and their durability doesn't go down as fast when used for that purpose. Every food can be thrown into pure fire to bake it, but spicy peppers are going to create updrafts, as do all other spicy materials. So while Breath of the Wild is definitely interested in having as big a variety of object properties as possible, in terms of player input it doesn't want to have tons of mechanics with a narrow contextual scope, but rather as widely applicable actions as possible that at the same time make as much sense as possible whenever a button is pressed from whichever state possible. And this way, the game can ensure that our means of interaction with the world are as consistent as the world's rule sets themselves.